Ready to go? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Siobhan Curran. I'm the Senior Manager of the Integrated Innovation Network here at the University of Newcastle. I'd like to extend my respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, the world's most ancient continuous civilisation on Earth. It's a privilege to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered today, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. I'm standing on a Wabikal and Worimi land. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Those of you with a keen eye might have noticed that the building's foundations actually have seashells incorporated into the aggregate, and that's an homage to the middens that once would have been accumulated along the shoreline here, and this polished concrete section here actually indicates the original shoreline of the Hunter River, so you can see how much it's changed over the last 200 odd years. So firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. In the event of an emergency, at least for those of you that are joining us here in person, please make your way out of the building using the available exits indicated by the little green running away man. Our muster point's actually located in the car park just behind where we're seating. Toilets are located on the mezzanine level, so you will have to go up the stairs, but an ambulant toilet and a parent's room is located just behind the tiered seating. So I'm delighted to be here this afternoon and welcome you to the Female Founders Program Demo Day in partnership with the City of Newcastle. It was all going to be 100% in person because we have opened up this beautiful building, the Q building, which houses our innovation hub, and COVID got the better of us, as it's wanted to do. So we're also delighted to welcome people joining us online as well this evening too. So the University of Newcastle acknowledges its role in driving economic diversity and growth in our regions. The Integrated Innovation Network, or I2N as it's more commonly known, was established 5 years ago to support innovators and entrepreneurs. We fuel their success, regardless of their affiliation to the University of Newcastle, by connecting them to the 4 things we know they need to go from idea to impact. And that's community, coaching, customers and capital. We have built a networked and vibrant ecosystem which supports them through all the stages of their journey. From humble beginnings at our prototype hub down on Hunter Street, some of you here might be familiar with that location, now to this purpose-built building here at Q, I2N has accelerated and incubated over 100 teams. They've gone on to raise over $18 million in capital. Over $11 million of that was just in the last financial year. They've generated over $2 million in revenue. They've created more than 60 new jobs, and they're providing dozens of work-integrated learning opportunities for our students. None of this really could have happened without partnerships, and one of our most collaborative has been with the City of Newcastle. Firstly, with the Hunter Innovation Project, which, with funding from the New South Wales Government, helped with the city's first rollout of smart poles and the build of this innovation hub. The Female Founders Program was a natural evolution of this partnership and of our region's maturing ecosystem. Of the 100 teams we've helped, only 34% include a co-founder that's female. And while this is on par with the sector average, I2N and the City of Newcastle knew we could do better. So I'll hand over now to the Manager, Community Strategy and Innovation at the City of Newcastle, Ashley Abbott. Welcome, Ashley.
Many thanks, Siobhan. Before I begin, I too would like to acknowledge the Wabikal and Worimi people, traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to you all, and thank you for joining us for the Female Founders Program Demo Day this afternoon. Apologies I can't be there in person. The City of Newcastle's vision is to create a smart, livable and sustainable global city by 2030. To achieve this, collaboration between the city and the university is essential. We too are proud of our collaboration with the University of Newcastle that has delivered this program along with many others. Our landing pad, for example, also here at the Q building, is designed to provide an easy entry point for entrepreneurs and businesses seeking a foothold in Newcastle. Our recently adopted economic development strategy has a people-centred focus, one based on developing the skills needed to grasp opportunities now and into the future. Our approach to nurturing and attracting talent is designed to be as inclusive as possible. The Female Founders Program supports our focus of empowering every member of Newcastle's innovation ecosystem to reach their potential and attract more entrepreneurs to our city to help build a more resilient and diverse economy. As Siobhan mentioned, there's work to do to develop out more female-led ventures. For those that do exist, research has found that high-growth businesses co-founded by women are reported to have received just 27% of venture capital funding in Australia to date in 2021. Curiously, research from Boston Consulting Group found that when women-led ventures do get funded, they ultimately deliver higher revenue, more than twice as much per dollar invested than those started by men. Supporting and investing in female-led ventures creates value for the founders, their families, our community, and the economy. It's a win-win. Our goal in supporting the Female Founders Program is to level the playing field for female-led businesses. It has been designed as a springboard to empower Newcastle women to navigate their business journey with confidence. Tonight, you will hear from 9 internationally focused founders with high growth potential and an aspiration to start and grow their companies here in Newcastle. I would like to offer my warmest congratulations to each one of the founders who have stepped out of their comfort zone, embarked on a journey of testing and iterating to developing a product or service that creates real impact. Thank you to the I2N and each of the mentors, coaches and facilitators that came together to support this cohort of exceptional women. Thank you again, and I look forward to hearing from each of our founders this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Isn't technology wonderful? So our experience of implementing programs that support new venture creation is that industry jargon that's commonly used, words like startup, accelerator, entrepreneur, just really don't resonate with women. So we did away with all of that and developed a program where the focus was really on the founders, providing them with the resources they need to support them on their business journey. This included 9 volunteer mentors that were joined from our Venture Mentor service, and they provided weekly mentoring sessions. We had 1 entrepreneur in residence who provided weekly group and one-on-one coaching sessions, and 11 facilitators who delivered weekly insight workshops on specific areas of domain that are really important for development of new businesses. Many of those people are here in the room tonight, or they're joining us online. I'd like to play a little reel that sort of thanks them and acknowledges them individually. Grateful to the mentors, our entrepreneur in residence and our facilitators for their generous hand in helping our female founders. So I'd just like to have a little round of applause for them, please. So as you might expect, a 10-week program was originally designed to be 100% online due to the COVID lockdowns, but that ended 5 weeks in when restrictions were eased, and we were able to welcome the founders to our new hub, which ourselves we'd only had the pleasure of working in for 2 weeks before we had to go into lockdown. Welcoming the female founders face-to-face was like watching friendships form in the playground on the first day of school. To reference a common startup term, being face-to-face really 10x'd the program. The founders' experience and their outputs, it was just amazing to see, and it's why we tried so hard to be able to have an in-person demo day, because we know how critical it is to be able to have those face-to-face connections. But I really want to offer my congratulations to the founders and their commitment to the program and to each other. It's been an absolute honour to have watched you grow on this small leg of your journey, and we look forward to continuing to support you. Next, you're going to hear 5-minute presentations from each of these 9 incredible female founders. First of all, we're going to hear from 5 founders, and then we will break for 20 minutes before reconvening for the final Fantastic 4 presentations. Following these presentations, for those of you that are joining us in the room tonight, you'll be able to connect with each of the founders at their booths that are just surrounding the room here. So you can ask any questions you want and maybe help them with their asks that they've provided at the end of their pitches. For those of you that are joining online, please do take note of the contact slide at the end of each of the decks. So if you want to follow them on social media or get in touch with them via email, that's the best way to do it. For the others also too here in the room, we'd love to connect with you over some good old-fashioned networking while we can. So I now have the pleasure of introducing our first female founder for this evening, Ebony Ranclaud of Statform. Please give it up for Ebony.
Thank you. Before I get started on my pitch, I would like to firstly thank the City of Newcastle and the Female Founders Program, because without them, I wouldn't be standing here tonight. And one of the greatest things that the Female Founders Program taught me was that it's a really good thing to talk about your idea with a lot of people. And it takes a lot of courage to share wild ideas with people. And it's another thing to find a group of people who support your idea and support you in the process. And I found that with the female founders and the mentors in the program. When I doubted myself, they reminded me of my potential. I think having spent nearly the last 3 months with the girls in the room today, there is a lot of potential here tonight. And so I'm going to share with you my wild idea. My idea is because of this phone. So my name's Ebony Ranclaud. I'm a registered nurse and I have a passion for aged care. And this phone is the only way when you're working in a care facility, if someone calls in sick, to replace a person. So when someone calls in sick, the current process requires me to sit by this phone and call all of the available agencies. And I need to repeat that process until I find someone to fill the shift. The last time I did this, it took me 4 hours and 5 phone calls. And in that 4-hour period, I wasn't giving 100% of my attention to my team or the people that we care for. And that's a problem. In fact, it's not just sick leave. 1/4 of all residential care facilities in Australia have vacant positions as the status quo. So that's 240,000 people in Australia who support the aged care workforce, who some days turn up to work and aren't fully supported by the team that should be with them. And so this made me question, why is the process of filling a vacant shift more complicated than filling a single shift? Because when I have a vacant position on my team, I'm able to advertise that position and people who are interested in the position come to me. Yet when it's a single shift, I have to chase everyone. So I call everyone, I wait for people to call me back. It takes a lot of time and it's very stressful. This is what Statform is all about. So Statform is a single shift marketplace that brings together all of the key stakeholders involved in care. It brings together the agencies with the providers of care, the freelance nursing staff, as well as your internal pool. So that when I have a single shift, I can advertise that position and people will come to me if they want that shift so that I can get back to providing care. But it's more than that. So Statform will be the only platform to provide an up-to-date information on the temporary workforce in aged care in your location. The only single source of information on your spending in temporary staff across all of the agencies you work with. So there's no surprises at the end of the month on staff spending. And so with Statform, we can start to ask even better questions, like the person who's coming in this afternoon to help us, can I have a look at their profile and see when they last completed their competencies? Or better yet, can I send them a video induction so that they start their shift on the best foot forward? What about if I know now the peak times of when it's near impossible to replace a shift? Can I use that to intuitively plan my workforce moving forward? Or at the end of the month, do I want to get an invoice for every shift that has been worked and cross-reference that against my rosters? Or would it be better to just receive a single invoice? So Statform is more than a single shift marketplace. It brings together the providers of care. It creates a platform for collaboration. So what is it that Statform does? So Statform offers a subscription to access a platform to interact with the single shift marketplace, as well as the ability to access an intuitively designed dashboard that helps inform your practice and inform your workforce management. And we offer this subscription across 3 services. So we have our individual, the providers of care, so our facilities, and our agencies. And so how can you help us? If you're listening today and you think, that sounds great, that would improve the way we provide care, or you know someone who works in the care industry that would love to hear about Statform, I would love to have an introduction. Currently in the process of our MVP development, and I know that I will need help in order to scale this so that every single aged care facility in Australia can step away from the phone, post a single ad, and get back to providing care. And thank you. That's me.
I think we can all agree just how critically important a solution like this must be in times like now or the last 2 years. So we're really excited to see how Ebony's going to progress her idea. Our next presenter is Kristy Flores from She Wins. Please give it up for Kristy.
Thank you, everyone. Here are 5 powerful reminders for me personally. These 5 women I coached for 2.5 years. I spent 4.5 years at the Australian Institute of Sport. All 5 of them are now Olympians. 2 of them are now dual Olympians. They're a powerful reminder of what can happen when you invest in young women. I asked Tessa about her thoughts around the impact of coaching on her life. And she says, my coaches instilled a confidence within me that initially I didn't believe in, but they pushed me to see the best in myself. I'm Kristy Flores. It's been a personal journey for me. I was a relatively shy and anxious child, and basketball changed the course of my life. I'm now in a position where I can pass that forward to other young women that I coach, and it is a power of coaching. I am now a veteran of 30 years' experience of national and international level basketball. I have a degree in psychology, and I have national level accreditation in coaching. However, I've always wondered, what about all the other girls? Whoops. The problem is we continue to miss golden opportunities to develop young women in our society, our community. We continue to fail to provide opportunities for them that are relevant. And lastly, we continue to provide irrelevant programs for them that don't appeal to them at all. Why basketball? It's a beautiful sport, but I'm biased. What's good about it is, in my experience over the last 30 years, it's one of the few environments that empowers young women to assert ourselves, find our voice, and be a leader. There is offense and there is defense. There's transition phases in between. It's a high-scoring game with a high number of possessions. There are many opportunities to score and create, and many opportunities to rectify mistakes. We use our right side of the body and the left. We use the right and left sides of our brain. Structure and creativity are equally valued on our court. We are versatile. We are not restricted by position nor parts of the court. We move freely with and without the ball. We think, we anticipate, we react, we solve problems, we execute skills, we make decisions under pressure. We must find a way to contribute, and we rely on the contributions of others. We compete, we collaborate, we win, we lose, we reflect. We head back to practice, we improve, and then we respond. We build skill and capability every time we hit the court. However, we build confidence that transcends the lines of any basketball court. It's a game that challenges us in so many ways. It's a mind, body, and soul experience. It's a process, a journey. It's practicing life in a game. What we do, we have 3 main streams of programming: the Empower Us Schools program, before and after school development bursts, and school holiday day camps. Our focus areas: we connect and engage with young women, we improve the quality of their experience, and we build confidence through play. How we do it: we offer similar and familiar clusters, grouped by their ability, their age, their physical maturation, and their social connections. We offer shorter and intensive development bursts that are focused on their overall personal development. And lastly, we provide small and targeted groups designed specifically for them. Who we service? Any young woman that wants to work on building her confidence, her parents, and her school. What does 2022 look like? 1,300 girls in the Hunter region. We know it's working simply because I hear these messages all the time. This one was from Monday night. Thank you for helping Tilly shine, not only in basketball, but in all aspects of her life. She has always been so shy and lacked confidence, but because of you, she has popped out of her little shell and is now brave to stand tall. Tessa Levy knows where she's going, and so does She Wins. She Wins is about building strong, capable, and confident young women to do whatever they want in their lives. What FFP has done for me: think bigger, take action, an all-star team of coaches, mentors, and teammates. But most importantly, it's validated the idea behind She Wins and provided me with tools, resources, and knowledge to thrive and grow in the future. How can you help? Limited court space, we are quickly running out. We're at the forum at the moment, but we're nearly out of time and space there. If you know anybody that has access to a court facility, please come and see me. Thank you.
Well done, Kristy. We were actually having a chat just the other day and really excited to think about how Kristy might be able to roll out this program across northern New South Wales and the southern regions over the coming years as well. So very exciting. Congratulations. Our next presenter is Rachel McMahon from inteliPRACTICE. Please give it up.
What if I told you I could help health businesses increase their profits by up to 50%? Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm a business consultant with 20 years' experience in marketing, strategy, and leadership in technology companies. And I'm here today to talk to you about inteliPRACTICE. But before I do, I want you to meet Sam. Now, Sam is a highly skilled psychologist. She's owned her business for over 10 years, but she's not trained in business. When Sam came to me, her private practice was doing very well in terms of well regarded in the industry, but she actually had very low profit margins, long wait lists, and she was not fairly compensated. In fact, many of the people that were working in her practice were earning more money than she was. And Sam is not alone. I've had other psychologists come to me with exactly the same issues. So I developed inteliPRACTICE as a solution to help Sam and my other clients understand their business and improve their results. Now, essentially, inteliPRACTICE is an industry-specific data visualization platform. It looks at financial data, practice management data, and all the other data that is required to operate a practice. Now, up until this point, I've been manually extracting that data myself and working with my clients to help them understand exactly what it means and develop strategies. But in the future, inteliPRACTICE will be an automated solution that presents this data in a very simple way. So it looks at the data and the insights from that data, so they understand exactly what's happening in their practice. But it also provides recommended actions so that they know how to use this data to improve what they're doing. And inteliPRACTICE is already successful with some of my clients. So for example, when Sam started using it, she noticed issues in therapist utilisation and client retention. And so having this information for her helped her develop strategies to address those issues. As a result, her utilisation increased 25%, her waitlists decreased, her revenue increased, and her profits increased by 50%. And I'm sure you'll agree that that is a remarkable outcome for her. So you may be thinking, using data to solve problems is not a new idea. In fact, there are businesses out there that are doing that. But I would say that the fact that I have had psychologists come to me with this issue, that there is currently a gap in the market. inteliPRACTICE is different to other solutions that are out there because it's industry specific, it leverages data from multiple systems, it provides a holistic view of a business, and it's not just the data, it's the insights and the recommended actions that come from that data that provide meaning to those practices. There are currently over 5,600 group psychology private practices in Australia like Sam. And I've interviewed a lot of them through this program, and over 95% of those that I interviewed stated that this was a problem that they needed to solve. So the market opportunity is very large, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. I have a phased approach to how I want to scale out inteliPRACTICE. So starting with psychologists, we'll then move to the 6,000 other allied health practices in Australia before moving to GPs and multidisciplinary clinics. And once we have a strong footprint in Australia, we'll then look to expand in overseas markets such as United Kingdom, USA, Canada, and New Zealand. Now, those numbers are off the chart. I couldn't include them on this page. And so while building a multi-million-dollar business is really exciting, I think what is more exciting is the difference that this can make in our community. So I'm sure that you're aware that there are huge wait lists for mental health services, for disability services, for aged care services. And so my vision is to help these critical industries help more people. And this can only be done if the businesses in those industries are financially stable and running efficiently. So if this is a vision that you also share, I would love to chat more about it with you, and I'd love your help. So specifically, I'm looking for technical expertise in the future as I build out and develop the solution. And I'm also looking for industry contacts in the psychology space with key industry organisations. So thank you for listening, and hope to speak to you later. Thanks.
I think you'll see there's a common theme emerging amongst many of our female founders tonight, which is a lot about helping people help their businesses. I find it really interesting that we've got, females tend to work on problems of lived experience and developing solutions that often aren't in the marketplace, that are sort of specific areas. So this was just one great example of that. So congratulations, Rachel. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Pru Killick from the HR Equation.
Thank you. Stand on the X. I'm Pru Killick, founder of the HR Equation. What do you think of when you look at this image? You probably think wine rack. I see favours. These are favours from friends, family and my network of people seeking my advice on HR-related matters. After more than 17 years experience in the HR sector, I'm constantly asked to consult with businesses on their HR-related matters. I often try and push them back to services like Fair Work or even services like EmploySure, and I'm often met with the same feedback. These sites are hard to navigate. The information may give examples, but they can't apply it to their own business. So there's still a gap. I did notice that those coming to me often came from micro and small businesses, so employing 5 to 10 people. They were often the tradie's wife that came to me. They needed help because they found themselves trying to navigate not just business problems, but a whole range of HR-related problems as well. Most of all, I discovered that these people were firefighters. They were tactical. They only needed to solve the problems that were in front of them that day. I started an Instagram page. This was sharing just posts around HR, leadership, and People First foundations. I've grown this to over 2,000 organic followers that are interested in this topic matter. I'm passionate about this area, and I'm often asked to speak at a range of events and forums. Sorry, checking my notes on my hand. Although I have a full-time job, I'm still often asked to consult on these areas. What I've found is that although people come to me and they think their problem's unique, it's not. These problems are super common. They're happening with thousands and millions of businesses, and it's very, very frequent. This led me to the Female Founders Program to see how far my influence could stretch and to see what platform could really help these micro businesses. The HR equation, easy as 1, 2, 3. The concept is HR services without a HR department. We know small business, especially micro businesses, don't need a department. They just need help and action that they can apply themselves. In Australia, there's 1.6 million micro businesses that employ only 1 to 4 employees. This makes up 26% of all employing businesses. This also is the biggest crowd for those that hire apprentices and trainees, making up 61%. The HR equation not only helps first-time employers, but will help safeguard first-time employees. The HR equation will be a trusted business partner, a hub for relevant content, a simple 1, 2, 3 framework, and a community we know this micro market is seeking. Our vision is to remove intimidation to empower action. We do this through 3 simple steps. Step 1 is simplifying the concept. Step 2 is stepping out the actions required. And step 3 are tools to act. So let's work through an example. We have a business owner that is having issues with one of their employees. It's a performance and behaviour-based issue. They've found that they've had multiple conversations, but now it's time to document something formally. As a HR equation member, they have access to our on-demand platform where they can keyword search things like performance, behaviour, attitude, and be presented with an action pack. This helps step out the problem. So it simplifies the concept of performance. What is it and what are the common gotchas? 2 is stepping out the actions and the durations required and the practical step on how to engage and have dialogue with the worker. And 3 is downloadable forms and templates that they can use in the field and then save as part of their documentation moving forward. This is phase 1. The way forward for the HR equation is first our platform and our specialised content. The next is a focus on micro businesses, including trades, then moving into hospitality and retail. As our community grows and we know that they'll need services beyond our scope of just HR, we can see that will be great referral partnerships into other services like legal, finance, and system digitisation. I'm seeking ongoing connection to this cohort, e-commerce experience, and technical guidance. Oh, nearly went over the thank you. Thank you to the Female Founders Program. It's been amazing. The City of Newcastle, this program really does need to run again. It's been inspirational. To our facilitators and mentors, it's been phenomenal, and your guidance has been so needed by all of us. So keep in touch. Come and see me if you feel that there's something to add to the HR equation, and this time I'll pull you a favour.
And we've got a fair bit of wine tonight too. A few people have decided to stay home tonight, so the shout's on you, I think. So our next speaker, who I'm delighted to introduce to you, is Lizzie McLaughlin, and she's presenting her idea, LegalEase. Give it up for Lizzie.
Hi, my name is McLaughlin. I'm a barrister. I've been a criminal defence lawyer for about 15 years. If you can think of a crime, chances are I've acted for someone charged with it. The job of every lawyer, at its most fundamental, is to do just two things: talk to the client, advise, explain, and then do what the client says. Which means the more the client understands about what you've said, the easier it is for the lawyer to do their job. The more quickly they can move the client through the system, the better the outcome. For criminal lawyers, that step of talking to their clients is difficult. I know that because I've experienced it. During the Female Founders Program, I surveyed over 160 criminal lawyers around New South Wales about their practice. And they identified the top 4 challenges that impacted their ability to communicate with their clients. One was their clients' experiences of mental health issues, intellectual impairment, or neurodiversity, or a combination of any 1, 2, or 3 of those. Another was the lack of time the lawyer had to actually spend with the client. More than 80% described themselves as being time poor. Unsurprisingly, the complexity of the law was a problem. It's hard to understand. It takes lawyers a long time for them to learn it, so it makes sense that it's hard for them to explain it. But the top factor, the top challenge to effective communication between lawyers and their clients was something far more simple, and that was the client's stress and distress at their situation. And the consequences: it takes longer to move them through the system, the instructions are poor quality, the outcomes aren't as good. And clients disengage. They decide they don't care because they don't understand. And that's what we hear. Just plead guilty, I want to get it over and done with. So let me explain this. This is what criminal lawyers are meant to give to their clients, either read out or hand to their clients when explaining the consequences of pleading guilty or not guilty. That's the title: Explanation to Legally Represented Accused if Statutory Utilitarian Discount Caps Apply. Yeah, the title is hard. The title needs its own explanation. So my solution over the years to that particular challenge has been to just stop talking. And instead, I started drawing pictures and diagrams and charts to explain the legal idea or procedure that I was trying to communicate to my client. And that's where LegalEase comes in. It's a subscription software application for lawyers to use that translates the complexity of the law and the process into quick, easy-to-access visual forms. The lawyer, using their mobile, can use those diagrams and charts to explain the legal concept or idea to their client with them in the conference. The images and the diagrams will be customisable, dynamic, able to be designed to suit that particular case and that particular client. They'll be simple and they'll be intuitive, created using not just legal expertise, but design thinking and advice from psychologists and psychiatrists. And after the conference, they will be sent, the images that were used with the client will be sent to the client by the lawyer by text message. And that last feature is really important because the lawyers surveyed said, although mobile phone text messaging was the most effective way for them to tell their clients something important when they weren't in a face-to-face conference, they also said they were answering the same questions again and again and again. Imagining the increase in that lawyer's productivity if their client and their client's family had a personalised series of infographics in their hand, in their mobile, that answered their questions for them at that time. I'm early in the process. Throughout this program, which has been incredible, I endorse everything that Ebony said at the beginning today. My focus has been on refining my idea and exploring the market. Now, there is nothing in existence similar to this solution. Lawyers and law firms have innovated at length to streamline their operational efficiency. Think billable hours, practice management, document management, time recording. This will be the first innovation that improves productivity and efficiency by focusing on what is at the heart of the lawyer's job, their communication with their client. And the demand is there. That's the number of criminal cases in New South Wales courts this week. Each one involved a client and it involved a lawyer. So next, for me, in the next 6 to 12 months, my aim is to create a design team, graphic and software, an advisory panel of mental health experts, and create a working prototype for testing, ideally in the microcosm of the Newcastle legal landscape. I will also be working with researchers at the School of Law here at Newcastle, where they've been granted funding to conduct research in parallel to the development of this product. I would like to talk to anyone who this idea resonates with. You might have had an experience that would inform the way this product is developed, or if you've got some UX or software design experience that might be particularly helpful. For those who are watching, that is obviously not my contact details. So there are 2 ways you can contact me if you're not here in person. One is you hang around the courthouse in Newcastle. The other one is that you contact Siobhan and she will give you my contact details. But thanks for listening.
So we know who to go to now if we need a good defence attorney. So that rounds out our first 5 presentations. We're now going to take a break for 20 minutes. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a nice break, a little catch-up for those of you in the room. We're going to move on with the presentations now. Our next presentation is by Winn from Ihydrate. And over to you, Lisa. Give it up.
So, how many here are actually feeling tired right now? Just a little bit tired? Okay, it has been a long day and, in fact, probably even longer year. But maybe you're not tired. Maybe you're actually dehydrated. And in fact, what you might not know, that even a 2% drop in your hydration level can actually impact how you feel. Cognitive performance, decision-making, physical performance can drop really, really quickly when you're dehydrated. Hi, my name is Lisa Winn. I'm the founder of Ihydrate, and I'm developing a personal hydration monitor that's convenient, easy to use, and portable. Now, you're probably like me, used to being dehydrated from time to time and not really consider it that much of an issue, but for some groups it really is a big, big issue. Athletes are an obvious example. Even small drops in a hydration level have big impact on their performance. But what you might not realise is that for athletes, they have a lot of trouble trying to measure it. They resort to techniques like studying the colour of the urine, counting how many times they go to the bathroom. And many, many I've spoken to say, actually, at the end of the day, there is a lot of guesswork involved. There are ways to measure hydration, but they're not that easy to use, and many have downsides. So you've got the gold standard, which is the blood test, but actually a needle and test tubes aren't that convenient. In the middle of the road is a urine test, but invasive, messy, difficult to administer, right down to things like pinching your skin. Yes, they're really simple and really easy to administer, but they're not very reliable. The results aren't particularly accurate. So how did I get here tonight to be talking about hydration? Well, it actually started many years ago when I was working for a major global beverage company. I was a director of strategy and innovation at the time. And so I was leading teams who were working across many of these hydration brands, and I was acutely aware that actually there's very poor ways to measure hydration. So back then, I led a startup team that sort of scoured the globe for different solutions to find an easy way of measuring hydration. We looked at many, many solutions, but ultimately I discovered that the science behind a lot of the solutions that we were trying to develop at the time just wasn't there. They just weren't robust enough. And so that's when another solution came to the fore, which actually was far simpler and actually was much closer to home. And that was the measurement of hydration through saliva. And fortuitously for us, the actual lead was in New South Wales. So Dr. Philip Borton, who's still working on it today, came up with some of the original thinking. And he, along with some honours thesis students, worked with my team to develop some of our early prototypes. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Ihydrate. It's a saliva-based test strip. So you simply lick it for 5 seconds, place your tongue on it. The saliva wicks down the various channels, interacts with different biomarkers, and the combined result of that is what we call the H-index, which gives you a result. So within 2 minutes, you have a test result. So this is just the latest prototype. We've worked, this is just a picture I took from a couple of days ago. So you can see the lickable test point and you can see some test results forming. So the idea with that, then you can simply use your phone, you can scan the result and get a result. I like to think of it as a traffic light system, so a really simple, easy way to get a quick status of your hydration. Of course, there are other analytics that you can look at to get more detailed information, or you can share your hydration results with others, coaches, etc. And importantly for us, the data that we capture around saliva is going to be really important for us to not only work with improving Ihydrate over time, but important for other scientific endeavour. So the early results have been really, really promising. We've proven that we can map dehydration over time and also subsequent rehydration with Ihydrate. Now, I guess at this point you're thinking there are probably quite a few other people other than just athletes who might have a need for such a device, and yes, you're right. So we're going to start off with athletes as our phase 1, but ultimately we really want a solution that can be used across many, many different people in many different situations. So phase 2 is workers, particularly in heavy industry and those wearing PPE, which have currently some big issues around hydration and hydration management. Operating heavy machinery, doing complex tasks become 1,000 times harder when you're dehydrated. Phase 3 is with more vulnerable groups, young children and the elderly in particular. And there's a big issue with chronic dehydration in the elderly today, leading to falls, exacerbating dementia, delirium and hospital admissions. So where to next? The idea is really making sure we rebuild the next prototype and actually test it in the Newcastle area. So the next version is due for early next year, and we really want to work with the local athletes in Newcastle to test it. I'm absolutely amazed how many ultra-endurance runners there are in this area, and without exception, all of them that I've spoken to are really excited about testing the idea, testing the prototype, and have really reinforced the fact that it's actually important innovation that they want to get their hands on. So it's been really, really wonderful to be part of the Female Founders Program. Many networks and many connections. It's been absolutely wonderful for me. Including actually the opening up into the University of Newcastle. And because of those introductions, I now have 2 new medical engineers who are actually working with me on the next prototype. So what am I seeking? Basically to help me build this Newcastle-based ecosystem. Really want to develop this local solution, but ultimately that has export and global impact. So in these early stages, it's warm introductions to athletes and to coaches here in Newcastle, but also into heavy industry and aged care as we start to validate some of the other segments. In the next year to 18 months, we'll be looking to do some fundraising as we get to the go-to-market phase, and so that very much is watch this space. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time this evening, and make sure you raise a glass and keep hydrated.
Fantastic work, Lisa, and really exciting to see some beautiful IP coming out of the region as well. I'm really delighted to be able to introduce our next speaker, Claire Ward from the Nurture Centre. Please give it up for Claire.
Hi, my name is Claire Ward and I'm the founder and CEO of the Nurture Centre. So we all know the saying, it takes a village when it comes to growing and raising a family. Well, it's been a long time since us humans existed in villages. So how do you find the modern village? And specifically, how do you find the practitioners who can support you in this season of life that is early parenthood? Tonight, I'm going to tell you the story of a real life client of ours, Erica, and her baby Ivy. And to do this, let's take a look at a timeline that takes us from conception through to early parenthood. So just like everyone, Erica had access to traditional medical care from around 12 weeks of pregnancy through her pregnancy, birth, and to that 6-week postpartum mark where you pretty much get ticked off and sent out into the world. The thing we know from statistics, though, is that a lot of the red flags for maternal health actually exist outside of where that solid line is. So we have everything from fertility issues to miscarriage to the fact that mental health diagnoses are actually increasing across the first 12 months. And I mean, look how far outside of the solid line the maternal suicide risk sits at 9 months postpartum. So what we're seeing are these numbers going up. We're seeing women falling through the gaps because at these points, there are no natural foot in the door to the healthcare system. Erica was a perfect candidate to fall through the gaps here, but she sought out the Nurture Centre to be her professional village. She first came to us during pregnancy, seeking support for and services for planning her postpartum. After baby was born, she had the inevitable breastfeeding challenges, and so we connected her with a lactation consultant. As baby grew and was approaching starting solids, she was after some more support, so we connected her with a nutritionist. At this point, she was interested in meeting some other mums, so we connected her in with baby massage classes. And now 18 months later, Erica and her family are still utilising the Nurture Centre, with her husband having recently found personal training services through our network. So as you can see, Erica avoided a lot of those red flags simply by being connected in with our professional village. I see this from both sides. So I have experienced this timeline as a mum and also as a health practitioner who stepped into small business to try and make a difference in this space. I lost it. Just like me, there are a whole lot of other small business solo practitioners who are asking the same questions of how do we engage people earlier on the timeline and how do we provide a more holistic approach that allows for continuity of care across that timeline and therefore eliminate people falling through the gaps. I see this from both sides, which is why I created the Nurture Centre. So we have a dual marketplace. For families, we are offering them the opportunity to connect with specialty complementary and alternative health services, like some of those listed up here. They do this through our practitioner directory. Our practitioners are vetted, so parents know that they are getting top-notch evidence-based support. For practitioners, we have a range of subscription memberships. These offer support for business and marketing, education and professional development opportunities, networking opportunities, and access to our integrated referral system. So what's next? Our plan is to grow and scale our practitioner team. I started this business 2 years ago, just me and my husband. I came into this program with 8 practitioners on board and having the opportunity to refine what it is we are offering. I, as of today, have 13 practitioners with room for many more. So we are looking to grow our practitioner team as well as the offerings we have to support them. The aim is to become the most trusted name in maternal health, so that when you think the Nurture Centre, you think professional village for parenthood. So now that you know where we're going, we can't do it without your help. Help us spread the word to families and practitioners about what we are doing at the Nurture Centre. Specifically, if you have connections to make introductions to the people who make referrals, like GPs, obstetricians, psychologists, these people are incredibly busy and so they're very difficult to get in front of. But I know from the few I have connected with that we do solve a big problem for them by having somewhere reliable to refer people to. And also any organisations that have an audience of mums with babies. Thank you to the Female Founders Program, City of Newcastle, and all of you here tonight for your interest in our professional village that is the Nurture Centre.
Fantastic job, Claire. This is our penultimate presentation. I'd like to introduce you to Jess Day with her idea, Spotto Books. Give it up for Jess.
Can I just have a show of hands?
if I'm in the right spot. Now, can I just have a show of hands if anyone spent 4 hours in a car in one day? So pretty much everyone. During that trip, did you ever think, I'm bored? And if you had kids in the back seat, were you like, when is this going to end? That's it. So that's why I created Spotto books, a series of books to use in the car to stop boredom. So I launched Spotto books in April this year, and I started with 4 books, and now I have 9 in the series. And I've sold 1,500 travel books in a year where no one can travel and borders are shut. So I'm onto a good thing. A little bit about me. I'm Outback Jess, born in Sydney, raised in Newey. I grew up in a family that loved to travel and camp. And we were always on the road, always in the car. And you know the game Spotto, where you see the yellow car? We played it a lot. The first one to call out Spotto gets the point. So my childhood led me to a career in tour guiding. So I've worked all across Australia. Uluru, Whitsundays, far north Queensland. I mean, you name it, I've probably been there. And I adore Australia, everything about it. The flora, the fauna, the locations. And I've done 2 laps of Australia just for fun. And first was with my husband, Gary Day. I call him G'day. And second was with our kids. And I truly believe it's never too early to get out and see Australia. So Zach was 6 months old in the pram, and Kimberly was 2.5. Actually, Kimberly got a name from where G'day and I met. We didn't want to call her Broom. But it was on this trip I realised kids can't handle boredom as well as adults. And the boredom of long drives is simply unavoidable because, as we all know, 4 hours in the car is normal. So what do we do? How do we help our little ones break the boredom? How do they cope? I mean, that's one option, but it doesn't last. I mean, they're not koalas. What do we do when they wake up? Do we give them a device so that they're face down, not looking out the window, and when the device goes flat, they're really unhappy? I don't think that's the option. We all know that screen time is just super harmful for kids. So why do we keep giving them devices when we hop in the car? Simply because there's no better option until now. We have Spotto books. These books engage the kids and get them looking out the window, seeing the environment, seeing Australia. These beautiful books are filled with pictures of animals, plants, locations, and even random things that they'll spot. And the fact that they've got to look out the window to see them eases car sickness. Spotto books work. Parents know they work. I've sold 1,500 travel books because they work. I'm online at the moment, but just yesterday, I secured my second wholesale client, which is very exciting. Thank you. And during the Female Founders Program, I gained the confidence to chase and secure a partnership with the Caravan and Camping Association of Industry Association of New South Wales, and they do the Super Show in Sydney, among many other expos. So that's very exciting. Next for me is putting Spotto books in information centres. They're going to be in petrol stations. When the parents are in real pain, they can just buy it easily. They're going to be in hire cars and hire caravans. They're going to be sold in new caravans, BCF stores, a variety of caravan parks, and they're going to be in every airport in Australia for those international travellers that will come back. And they're going to love Spotto books because they can keep it as a memoir. Next for me, I'm going to take this business model internationally, first to New Zealand, followed by Canada and US. They too have the big problems of the big, boring drives. In 10 years' time, the whole world's going to be using Spotto books when they come to Australia for the Brisbane 2032 Olympics. So what I'm asking for you guys is any introductions to potential retailers that might want to stock Spotto books. I'm seeking more great partnerships, specifically tourism if I can. And I know it's a shot in the dark, but if there's any leads to the Brisbane Olympics, please come and talk to me or send me an email, info@spottobooks.com.au, and just come and have a look at my books either at the booth or online. And thank you for involving me in the Female Founders Program, because it has truly opened my mind and opened doors.
Thanks, Jess. We've loved having you as part of the program, and we're loving the hat as well. Our final presentation for this evening is the wonderful Bliss Cavanagh, who's speaking about her business, Creative Sensory Spaces. Give it up for Bliss.
Imagine if you could just sit in a room that instantly made you feel relaxed, calm, more focused, and boosted your mood. A magical, dedicated space that did all that self-care work for you and you just sit back. Well, that's exactly what we do at Creative Sensory Spaces. So my name is Bliss Cavanagh. I'm the founder, sensory artist and designer, and leading PhD expert in the design and benefits of sensory rooms. So sensory rooms are purpose-designed spaces that stimulate and engage the senses to elicit therapeutic outcomes in various clinical populations. So these include disability, mental illness, dementia, chronic pain and trauma, to name a few. So I actually created my first multi-sensory environment in 2012 as a way to help alleviate my symptoms of Tourette syndrome. So if the final immersive experience of this space, I'd never felt so calm and relaxed, and my tics virtually disappeared. And it was actually the response from other people that was also just as remarkable, which led me on a journey to pursue my postgraduate research, exploring the benefits of sensory rooms for the general population and how we can integrate these environments into everyday workplaces and living settings. So my research is the first to combine the science of positive psychology, receptive arts engagement, restorative environmental design, and sensory modulation to bring you the most effective sensory experience that does all of the work for you. So we know that stress and anxiety are significant problems in this fast-paced society, and stress is actually one of the leading causes of poor mental health and can exacerbate existing conditions. So what we're seeing is a lot of organisations and schools are currently installing sensory rooms as a way to better support the mental health and wellbeing of their staff, students or participants. However, what we're actually seeing is that too many of these sensory rooms are becoming underutilised and undervalued despite evidence for their extensive benefits. So this is often because the sensory elements don't work cohesively together. There's no clear purpose-driven outcome from initial design phase, and there's limited research exploring effective sensory room design. And this is what we end up seeing. So not very calming, are they? So my vision is to support the world's well-being through evidence-based sensory experiences. We know that a well-designed space is the most effective. That's why we offer complete sensory space fit-outs, from original design to complete delivery and installation to ensure optimal benefits. We offer wow factor that works and that point of difference that organisations are looking for. We also originally design and manufacture all of our products and components right here in Newcastle. So all of our spaces are backed by evidence-based research, and we focus solely on providing spaces that create a powerful sense of calm and relaxation, that promote cognitive and emotional rejuvenation and restoration, and that optimise productivity by creating that dedicated space to take time out and re-enter the world at optimal capacity. So these are some examples of some previous organisations that we've worked with and installed permanent sensory spaces around Australia. And over the next 18 months, my goal is to secure another 50 customers. So here's what some of our recent customers have had to say. The kids that didn't want to come to therapy now want to come because of the sensory room. We haven't had a meltdown since. The success of the sensory room has rippled through the hospital like wildfire. It's already been deemed a huge success before the hospital has even opened its doors. And this is actually due to all of the health infrastructure staff, the clinicians, as well as all of the builders and workmen that have been there sneaking into the sensory room every day since it's been installed and being, overwhelmed with how incredible and beneficial it's been for them as well. And then I actually got this one just yesterday from a space we installed on Monday. I can't tell you the pride I have walking into these centres. Your vision and quality far exceeds any of my expectations. The spaces are stunning. So the Female Founders Program has been instrumental to the growth and development of my business. Since beginning the program with a team of 2, I've expanded to a team of 4, and I've scaled by transitioning from working in the business to working on the business and setting clear goals for growth. I also feel empowered through the knowledge, insights, and confidence in my business model and ability to be a strong leader as well. So how can you help? Well, I'm looking for introductions to see how we can create sensory spaces in more spaces. So I'd like to install rooms in shopping centres, airports, stadiums, a lot more community environments. I'd like to expand into more corporate settings such as Google or NIB, any large workspace buildings. I'd also like to get connections to larger organisations such as Headspace or Afford that have multiple locations where we could install multiple sensory rooms. So if you have any connections, I would love to chat to you over my booth, or feel free to send me an email or give me a call. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure.
We were kind of joking that we should have got Bliss to install a sensory space in the last 24 hours because we've all been a little bit nervous. So I think we're definitely going to have to investigate that in the future. So congratulations to all of our female founders. I'd like to ask if you could all give them one huge round of applause. You can all take a big, deep breath and breathe it on out. The presentations were absolutely fantastic, and it's just been amazing to see how far the founders have come since they provided us with their pitch as part of their applications 11 weeks ago now. If you have any Q&A with the founders, please join them at their booths straight after these messages. And you can also join them through their contact details at the end of their slides as well. We will be providing a copy, a recording of this presentation online soon as well. Of course, if they didn't have contact details, you can always contact us at the I2N at newcastle.edu.au. So thank you again to the City of Newcastle. It's just been absolutely fantastic to have their support in being able to deliver this program, and we're hoping we can do it again in the future. Also, thank you to our entrepreneur in residence, our amazing mentors who volunteered their time to help with our founders every week over 10 weeks of the program, as well as to our facilitators that really provided those startup insight workshops on a weekly basis, those deep dives into financials and IP, all the really good stuff about doing business. Thank you also to Davies Collison Cave and the Port of Newcastle. They're our gold strategic partners at the Integrated Innovation Network, and without them, the I2N wouldn't be able to deliver on all of the other programs that we offer as well. Thank you for joining us in person, and hello to everyone online. I'm glad you're able to join us here as well. Have a safe and happy holiday. Once again, if I can just ask everyone to give a big round of applause to everyone in the room here tonight, including our amazing female founders. And if I can ask the female founders to jump up on stage so we can get a group photo, please. Otherwise, the rest of you are more than willing to be able to grab a drink and enjoy the canapes that we've got here in the room. And for those of you that are at home, goodbye and thank you for joining in tonight.